The council hall floated in the middle of a quiet star system, surrounded by silver ships and glowing banners of 100 alien worlds. It was supposed to be a place of peace, but today it felt like a courtroom waiting for a sentence. Delegates whispered among themselves, their voices a mix of curiosity and mockery. The reason was simple: Earth. For years, the Galactic Council had called humans primitive, violent, and unworthy of expansion. When humanity asked for fair trade routes, they laughed. When humans requested protection for their colonies, the Council turned away. Now, after years of silence, Earth had sent a message, one that no one expected. The message was short. Only 3 words appeared on every communication channel across the stars. "We are coming." No one understood what it meant. The Council's ambassadors laughed it off. "Empty threats," one alien said, his crystal-like skin shining under the chamber lights. "Their fleet is a fraction of ours." Another delegate from the Varn Dominion added with a grin, "Maybe they're sending another peace envoy. We can use more humans as translators." Laughter spread across the hall, but the laughter faded when the alarms began to sound. The sound came from deep within the orbital defense grid, a sharp, continuous tone that no one in the council had ever heard before. The massive windows of the chamber turned dark, showing data streams of incoming signals. Radar systems across the region picked up hundreds, then thousands of approaching objects. The council's main AI flickered. "Unidentified fleet approaching from the Sol border. Estimated time to arrival, 2 hours." The council members stared in silence. Admiral Threx of the Dravak Empire hissed, "Impossible. No one crosses that distance so fast. It must be a malfunction." But even he looked uncertain as more data appeared. The fleet's signature was clear: human. On Earth's moon, the command center buzzed with life. Admiral Mira Han stood in front of a massive holographic display, showing hundreds of ships aligning into formation. Her voice was calm, sharp, and full of quiet fury. "Status report," she said. "Dark Vanguard fleet in position. Warp barriers stable. Weapon systems online," replied her officer. For years, Mira had watched her planet be humiliated by the Council. She had seen colonies burned, ambassadors silenced, and Earth labeled as unstable. But humanity had been preparing in the shadows, building ships in secret asteroid belts, forming alliances with outcasts, and developing technology that even the Council feared to study. Now, it was time to show them what Earth truly was. "Engage stealth approach," Mira ordered. "No transmissions. Let them see us only when it's too late." As the fleet moved silently through the void, their black hulls reflected no light. Each ship carried symbols, names of fallen cities, colonies, and ships lost to the arrogance of the Council. New Alexandria, Titan's Hope, Arcadia Dawn. Humanity hadn't forgotten. Back in the Council Hall, chaos spread like wildfire. The Supreme Chancellor, a tall creature made of translucent energy, demanded explanations. Why would humans attack? "They signed the peace code." Admiral Threx growled, "They're humans. Violence is in their blood." But before anyone could reply, the chamber lights dimmed. Every hologram, every comm line, every defense signal was suddenly overridden. A single human face appeared on every screen. Admiral Mira Han, calm and fearless. "Members of the Galactic Council," she said. "For decades you mocked us. You took our resources. You left our people to die in border wars you caused. You called us children playing with fire." Her eyes hardened. "Now you will learn what fire really means." Gasps filled the chamber. The image vanished. Seconds later, the first wave of explosions rippled through the outer defense rings of the Council's homeworld. Massive human warships dropped out of warp, sleek, dark, and burning with blue plasma engines. The alien admirals scrambled to react, shouting for shields, for retaliation, for answers. But humanity's fleet moved faster than anything they'd ever seen. Earth's new ships didn't fire lasers or plasma bolts. They unleashed something far more terrifying. Kinetic storms, massive slugs traveling at near-light speed, slicing through fleets like paper. In moments, entire defense lines were torn apart. The alien navies, once arrogant and unshaken, fell into confusion. From the command ship Resolute Dawn, Admiral Mira watched quietly as explosions filled the void. Her officers waited for her next order. "Admiral," one of them said softly, "Council fleets are falling back. Should we pursue?" Mira looked at the hologram of the Council's world, burning in the distance. Her voice was calm. Not yet. Let them understand what they've done. Let them look into the flames and remember who started this. In the council hall, the survivors stared at the destruction on their screens. Entire fleets were vanishing. The once proud empires were helpless before a human force they never believed existed. An elderly alien whispered, "They warned us." We laughed. Outside, in orbit, the final light of the first battle faded. Humanity's fleet stood in silence above the wreckage, calm, precise, and unstoppable. And as the Council's desperate transmissions echoed through space, a single coded message was transmitted back from Earth's flagship. It read, "This is not war. This is justice." The galaxy had mocked Earth's power. Now it would learn why that was a mistake. The Council's capital world burned like a dying star. Billions watched from every corner of the galaxy as the once untouchable Council fleets shattered under Earth's sudden counterattack. The news spread faster than light. Earth had returned. In the deep command chamber of the Resolute Dawn, Admiral Mira Han stood quietly before the main display. Her crew worked in silence, their faces lit by the flickering glow of destroyed ships. They had done it. The first strike had crippled the Council's outer defenses. But Mira knew this was only the beginning. "Status of enemy communication?" she asked. "Intercepting all frequencies, Admiral," her officer replied. "Most channels are filled with panic. Some councils are calling for surrender, others want vengeance." Mira's eyes narrowed. "Vengeance from cowards comes easily when they're safe behind walls. Prepare the next phase." The humans had waited too long to strike. Decades of insults, exploitation, and humiliation had burned deep scars into every human heart. The Council had called Earth a minor planet, a barbaric world unworthy of the stars. But Earth had learned, adapted, and evolved. What the Council saw as silence was preparation. What they thought was weakness was patience. In the central city of the Council's homeworld, flames covered the skyline. Alien leaders gathered in underground bunkers, arguing in terror. The Supreme Chancellor's form shimmered with anxiety. "We must open peace channels immediately," it declared. "Earth cannot destroy the foundation of galactic order." Admiral Threx slammed his metallic fist onto the table. "Order? You think they care about your order? You let them build in the dark. You let them grow." Another delegate, trembling, whispered, "Maybe they were right to. Maybe we pushed them too far." "Silence," Threx roared. "If we show weakness now, humanity will enslave us all." But even as they argued, Earth's fleet expanded its reach. Across multiple systems, human ships emerged from the shadows. Every colony that once belonged to Earth and had been taken by the Council now saw the sky filled with familiar ships, bearing the flag of humanity. On one such world, the mining planet Iridian 5, alien overseers watched in horror as massive human dropships broke through the clouds. The workers, mostly human slaves taken decades ago, stopped in disbelief. They had dreamed of this day, whispered about it in secret. Now it was real. A boy looked up, his voice trembling. "Are they ours?" From the sky, a human voice boomed through the atmosphere. "This is Earth Command. You are free." The overseers ran for their ships, but there was nowhere to go. The human marines moved like shadows, swift, silent, unstoppable. Within hours, Iridian 5 was liberated. Across the galaxy, dozens of colonies followed. Admiral Mira watched the updates roll in. Each green mark on her holographic map represented a freed world. "Keep communication silent," she ordered. "No celebrations yet. The Council will regroup." And she was right. In the hidden nebula of the Sirion cluster, the remnants of the Council's fleet gathered. Thousands of ships from hundreds of species prepared for one last defense. The alien admirals debated their options. They knew Earth's ships were smaller but faster, more efficient. They couldn't understand the technology behind them, energy cores powered by something unknown, rumored to be drawn from dark matter itself. Admiral Threx stood before his fleet's projection. "They think they can frighten us with their tricks, but we are the Council. We will show them what happens when they challenge unity." But deep inside, even Threx felt a flicker of fear. Back aboard the Resolute Dawn, Earth's fleet moved closer to the Council's gathering. The stars ahead glowed red from the aftermath of war. Mira clasped her hands behind her back and spoke softly to her crew. "Remember what they did to us," she said. "To our colonies. To our children. We do not destroy for revenge. We strike to make sure this never happens again." Her words filled the command deck with quiet determination. As the fleets prepared for the next clash, Earth's ships began to shift formation. Instead of the traditional battle lines, they moved into a massive spiral, an ancient human tactic reinvented for space warfare. Each ship's engines pulsed in perfect rhythm, forming a light storm across the void. The alien sensors picked up the movement. "They're surrounding us," shouted a Drawback officer. Threx snarled, "Hold formation! Fire at will!" Beams of plasma and energy streaked through space, lighting up the battlefield like 1,000 suns. But humanity's ships danced between the blasts, agile and precise. Then came the counterstrike, kinetic storms, electromagnetic pulses, and dark matter torpedoes that tore through shields like glass. Within minutes, the Council's formation collapsed. Their command ships went silent. Screams echoed through broken transmissions. On the bridge of the Resolute Dawn, Mira gave one final order. "Target the flagship. Disable, not destroy. They must hear our terms." The human cannons roared. The Council's flagship shook, engines bursting into flames before going dark. Inside, Admiral Threx lay pinned beneath wreckage, blood mixing with oil. He could hear the static of a transmission coming through. Mira's voice. "Admiral Threx," she said calmly. "This is Admiral Mira Han of Earth. You called us savages. You thought we would kneel. Now look outside your window and tell me, who are the savages now?" The channel went silent. The remaining Council fleets fled into hyperspace, scattered and broken. Humanity had done what no other species had ever dared, challenged the entire galaxy and survived. But Mira knew the war was not over. This was only the beginning. The Council would regroup, and soon the galaxy would turn its eyes toward Earth. Still, as she looked out at the battlefield glowing with the light of victory, she whispered quietly to herself, "Let them come. We've been underestimated before." The stars flickered in agreement. As if the universe itself had finally taken notice, Earth had struck back, and the galaxy would never forget it. In the aftermath of the human assault, silence spread across the galaxy like a wound that refused to heal. Entire star systems, once under firm Council control, now lay in chaos. Trade routes were abandoned, communications severed, and fear ruled every capital. The legend of Earth's return had already begun to grow, whispered by soldiers, merchants, and refugees alike. "They came from the dark," one alien captain told his crew. Their ships didn't make a sound, just light and death, but not everyone was ready to surrender. Deep within the Nabari expanse, a surviving group of Council leaders gathered in secrecy. It was the first time in history that so many rival species had met in the same chamber, without the Council's authority guiding them. The air was tense, heavy with both anger and shame. The Supreme Chancellor, his glowing form dimmed from exhaustion, addressed the room. "We have underestimated the humans. They have technology we cannot explain. They have tactics we cannot predict. But make no mistake, they are still flesh and blood, and flesh can bleed." From the corner, Admiral Threx stood, his armor dented and half-burned from the last battle. His voice was hoarse but full of rage. "You speak of bleeding, Chancellor, yet you hide underground while their ships burn our skies. Humanity must be erased, completely. No planet, no memory, no survivors." A smaller alien from the insectoid Vikran hive hissed nervously. "You said the same before the battle at Sirion, and look what happened. They destroyed half our fleet. Because of your cowardice." Threx spat. "You retreated while they advanced." The room erupted in argument until the Chancellor raised a trembling hand. "Enough, we cannot fight like this. If we continue divided, they will destroy us one by one. We must form a new command, a single army." The words carried weight. For the first time in centuries, old enemies looked at each other not as rivals but as survivors. And so the Coalition of Unity was born, an alliance of desperation. They gathered the remains of 100 fleets, billions of soldiers, and weapons that had been forbidden even by Council law. Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth's moon, Admiral Mira Han studied the reports with cold precision. Her fleet had expanded. Human engineers were working without rest, building new ships using alien wreckage and captured technology. For every Council ship destroyed, humanity built 2 more. But Mira wasn't celebrating. She knew the silence meant something. The aliens were regrouping, and the next attack wouldn't be small. "Admiral," said her communications officer, Satellite intelligence from outer colonies indicates increased energy readings in the Nabari expanse. Could be fleet movement. Mira's gaze hardened. So they're finally crawling out of hiding. Another officer asked, "Do we strike first?" She shook her head. "No, we let them come. I want the galaxy to see who fires the first shot this time." Far from Earth in the hidden fortress world of Varn Prime, the new coalition was already preparing its revenge. The alien engineers unveiled a massive warship, the Eclipse engine, powered by captured dark energy. It was larger than any ship ever built, capable of wiping out entire planets in a single shot. "This will end their arrogance," Threx declared as he stared at the colossal vessel. "When the humans see this, they will finally bow." But one alien scientist, a pale amphibian from the Urian sector, stepped forward hesitantly. "Admiral, this weapon is unstable." "If it fails, it won't fail," Threx snapped. "It will make them remember who truly rules this galaxy." Days later, the Coalition fleet began its journey toward Earth. Thousands of ships, old, damaged, but united, filled the void. Their goal was simple: crush humanity before it could rise any further. On the resolute dawn, alarms echoed as new readings appeared. "Massive fleet incoming," reported Lieutenant Ray, count exceeding 20,000 vessels. "Multiple species, all converging on our sector." The command deck fell silent. Mira looked around at her officers, her voice calm but heavy. "So they've chosen their fate." She turned to her tactical officer. "Activate planetary defense grid. I want every colony armed and ready. This isn't just Earth's fight anymore, it's humanity's." Within hours, messages spread across every human world. From the domed cities of Mars to the icy outposts of Europa, soldiers and civilians prepared for what was coming. No one slept. Every man, woman, and child knew the truth. If they lost this battle, there would be no Earth left to defend. As the Coalition fleet entered the Sol system, they expected resistance, but what they found instead was something else entirely. Humanity's defense network lit up across the solar system, forming a web of light and power. Hidden stations emerged from asteroid fields. Moons shifted orbit to reveal concealed cannons, and above Earth itself, the new flagship, the Archangel, waited. Admiral Mira's voice echoed across every human frequency. "This is the final test. We do not fight for revenge. We fight because they thought we would kneel. We fight for every voice they silenced, for every world they stole. Humanity stands today not as victim, but as the storm." The first shot came from the aliens. A blinding beam from the Eclipse engine sliced through the dark, hitting one of Earth's orbital shields. The explosion was massive, shaking even the moon's surface. But when the light cleared, the shield still stood. Its surface rippled with blue energy, a new invention, one that turned the Council's power back upon itself. "Return fire," Mira ordered. Dozens of human warships unleashed their wrath. Energy pulses, magnetic storms, and kinetic cannons lit up the void in brilliant chaos. The alien fleets broke apart almost instantly, their formation collapsing under the precise fury of human strategy. The Eclipse engine tried to fire again, and failed. The unstable core glowed red, shaking violently before detonating in a blinding flash that consumed half the Coalition fleet. The shockwave spread for millions of kilometers. Ships spun out of control, their systems failing. Admiral Threx screamed orders, but his voice was drowned by static. On the resolute dawn, Mira watched quietly as the enemy fleet tore itself apart. Her expression was unreadable. "They built their own doom," she whispered. "Just as they built ours centuries ago." Her communications officer turned to her. "Admiral, it's over." Mira shook her head. "No, it's just beginning. The galaxy will come crawling now, not with threats, but with fear." Outside her window, the wreckage of the Coalition burned silently, drifting through the black sea of stars. Humanity had survived another storm, but now the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. The age of silence was over. The age of humanity had begun. Smoke and shattered metal drifted across the endless dark. The Coalition's grand fleet, once the pride of the galaxy, was now a graveyard of broken ships. What had been built over millennia had fallen in a single day, and the echo of humanity's victory spread through every corner of the stars. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council had no fleet, no command, and no voice. Worlds that once pledged loyalty to the Council now stood silent, watching, waiting to see what Earth would do next. On the resolute dawn, Admiral Mira Han stood alone before a projection of the destroyed battlefield. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried the weight of what came next. "Transmit a message to all systems," she said softly. Her officer blinked. "What message, Admiral?" "The truth," Mira replied. "That the Council has fallen, and Earth is not their enemy, but their reckoning." Within hours, the message spread across the galaxy. It was broadcast through shattered relay stations, pirate frequencies, and civilian networks. Mira's voice echoed in every language, translated by human AIs that once served under the Council's control. "This is Admiral Mira Han of Earth Command. The Council that ruled you through fear and silence has been broken. Their lies have ended. To those who seek peace, Earth offers friendship. To those who seek to enslave, Earth offers fire." The transmission sent ripples across worlds. Some celebrated, others panicked. Entire species that had once been silent under Council control rose up in rebellion, overthrowing their governors, burning their emblems, and raising new banners. But not everyone wanted peace. In the ruins of the Council's homeworld, a handful of survivors gathered beneath the remains of the Grand Chamber. The once glorious hall was now filled with smoke and ash. Admiral Threx, wounded but alive, leaned against a broken pillar, his eyes burning with hate. "They destroyed everything," he muttered. "Our fleets, our cities, our history." A young officer knelt beside him. "Admiral, the Council is gone. There's nothing left to fight for." Threx's voice turned sharp. "No, there is always something to fight for. You think they'll stop? They'll spread, they'll conquer, they'll make us bow. No, we will make them bleed." He pointed toward the sky. "Prepare the relic weapons, the ones hidden beneath the surface. If humanity wants the galaxy, they'll have to burn for it." Meanwhile, aboard the Archangel, Earth's new flagship, Admiral Mira watched the growing unrest from orbit. Her officers were celebrating, but Mira remained thoughtful. "Humanity has done the impossible," said Captain Solace. "The Council's rule is over. We're free." Mira looked at him with a quiet expression. "Freedom isn't what worries me, Captain. Power does. When the weak fall, the strong often forget why they fought." Her words hung in the air. Humanity had fought for survival, but now they were the strongest force in the galaxy. And strength always invited fear. On distant worlds, rumors began to grow. Alien leaders spoke of Earth's new empire, of human domination. Some planets, desperate to survive, surrendered before any threat was made. Others began secret resistance movements, fearing that the Council had simply been replaced by another ruler. Mira saw it all unfolding through her reports. She didn't want an empire, she wanted balance. But humanity's victories had changed everything. One night, as Earth's fleet drifted in orbit, Mira received an encrypted transmission, one that came not from an ally, but from an unexpected source. The symbol of the message was ancient, the crest of the old Council itself. She ordered it opened. A hologram flickered to life. It was Threx. His face was scarred, but his eyes were defiant. "Admiral Mira Han," he said, voice low and bitter. "You think you've won. You think you've destroyed us. But beneath the Council's core lies something older than your species, a weapon you cannot imagine. You've awakened it by striking us," Mira frowned. "Empty threats don't suit you, Threx. You've already lost." Threx grinned, a cruel expression. "Lost? No, you've only cleared the board. Now the real game begins." The message ended abruptly. Mira turned to her intelligence officer. "Trace that transmission." "Already trying, Admiral. But it's strange. The signal didn't come from one location. It came from multiple points, like it's echoing from the core of the planet itself." The words chilled the room. "Could it be one of their hidden AIs?" Captain Solace asked. "No," Mira said quietly. "It's something else." Moments later, sensors across the Archangel flared to life. Energy spikes erupted from the Council's ruined world. From the crust of the planet, massive towers of light burst upward, ancient structures long buried beneath the surface. They pulsed with a deep red glow, spreading waves of distortion across the void. "What is that?" Solace shouted. The science officer's voice trembled. "It's old, older than the Council. Some kind of planetary defense weapon, or maybe something worse." The ruins began to rise. A colossal machine miles wide emerged from the burning world. Its shape was not built by any known species, a mix of geometry and living metal. It pulsed with energy that twisted the space around it. Threx's final words echoed in Mira's mind. "You've awakened it." Mira stood frozen for a moment, then snapped back into command. "All ships, defensive positions. That thing's not from this era. I want full scans and interceptors ready." The Archangel's systems lit up, and the human fleet began to form around the anomaly. But before they could react, the weapon moved. A beam of pure gravitational energy shot out, slicing through the void, tearing apart debris and derelict ships in its path. The energy reading spiked far beyond anything humanity had seen. "Admiral," cried the officer, "if that thing fires again, it could rip open the entire sector." Mira clenched her jaw. "Then we end it before it begins." She turned toward the comm station. "Send this message to all fleets: the Council has fallen. But something else has risen. Humanity stands together now, or we all fall together." Outside, the stars dimmed as the ancient weapon charged once more. And for the first time since Earth's retaliation began, Admiral Mira Han felt something she hadn't in years. Not fear, but awe. The Council was gone. But the galaxy's oldest secret had just awakened. The surface of the Council's ruined world was no longer still. Mountains split open as molten rivers of light poured upward, feeding the awakening giant that had been buried for millennia. The colossal machine, neither fully metal nor alive, rose higher than the clouds, its surface carved with strange symbols that shifted like living code. Every pulse from its core sent shockwaves through space, disrupting navigation systems and bending gravity itself. On board the Archangel, Admiral Mira Han stood at the front observation deck, watching the impossible unfold. Even for a veteran of countless battles, the sight left her silent. "Status?" she finally asked. The science officer's voice shook. "Admiral, it's not a weapon in the traditional sense. The readings show organic energy signatures, something ancient, possibly pre-council. It's waking up." Captain Solace leaned forward, disbelief in his eyes. "You're saying it's alive?" "Alive, or something that thinks," the officer replied. "And it's not just activating, it's scanning us." The bridge lights flickered. A low hum filled the air, as if the space around the ship itself had begun to vibrate. The communication systems crackled and a deep mechanical voice echoed through every channel in the system. "Identities confirmed. New Dominion detected. Error, unauthorized species inheriting legacy." The voice sent chills through every crew member. Mira frowned. "Translate that." The AI translator processed the words, then displayed them on the main screen. "The builders are gone. The usurpers have fallen. You are not worthy of this galaxy." An instant later, a surge of energy blasted out from the planet, knocking smaller ships off course. "Shields at maximum," Mira ordered. "Evacuate all forward positions. I want full data on that thing before it wipes us all out." The Archangel shuddered under the pressure wave but held its position. Mira's eyes narrowed as she studied the massive structure. This wasn't the Council's weapon. It was something older, something they had tried to hide. Far below, deep beneath the planet's surface, ancient archives flickered to life. Fragments of the long-lost builders, the first civilization, recorded their final message before extinction. Holograms showed entire galaxies collapsing under their own creations. Back on the surface, Admiral Threx, still hiding among the ruins, stared at the glowing behemoth with awe. His wounds had not healed, but his hatred burned bright. "Perfect," he whispered. "Let it destroy them. Let it destroy everything." He activated his communicator. "To all surviving coalition forces, withdraw from the planet. Let the humans face what they've unleashed." And so the alien remnants fled. Within hours, the ancient construct began to grow. It extended long metallic roots into orbit, drawing energy from the nearby stars. Its presence warped time itself. Ships that approached too close reported seeing flashes of past battles and strange visions of futures that hadn't yet happened. Mira realized the scale of the threat. This wasn't just a weapon. It was a judgment engine, built by a race that once ruled the stars before the Council. A machine designed to reset civilizations that reached too far. "Admiral," her intelligence chief said, "it's targeting the entire sector. Its gravitational output is creating a singularity pattern. If it completes the cycle, every inhabited world nearby will be gone." Mira's expression hardened. "Then we stop it. But how? We don't even know what it is." Mira looked out at the void. We learned fast. Within minutes, Earth's fleet mobilized. The Resolute Dawn and Archangel led dozens of ships toward the anomaly. Engineers began constructing field stabilizers to counter the growing energy surge. The command centers across Mars, Titan, and Europa came online in perfect coordination. For the first time in history, humanity was not fighting an enemy. It was fighting extinction itself. But as the human fleet prepared, something unexpected happened. Distress calls began arriving from alien systems, former enemies. Their worlds were also being affected. The gravitational waves of the ancient weapon were spreading, destabilizing entire star lanes. On the comms, the face of an alien leader appeared. An elder from the Vikran hive. "Human Admiral, we fought you, we lost. But this thing will destroy all of us. We offer ships, weapons, anything, just stop it." Mira didn't hesitate. "Then stand beside us. No more lies, no more chains. You fight under one banner now, survival." By the next hour, fleets from across the galaxy, once divided by centuries of war, gathered in orbit above the ruined Council world. Human engineers shared targeting systems. Alien scientists decoded old fragments from their archives. Slowly, a strategy began to form. The plan was dangerous, almost suicidal. Mira stood before the combined command council aboard the Archangel. "That machine feeds on energy. The more we fight it with force, the stronger it grows. We must overload it, feed it power beyond what it can control. We'll use our warp drives, synchronize a simultaneous pulse, and force it to collapse on itself." An alien general hissed. "That's madness. Half our fleets will be destroyed." "Half of something," Mira said, "is better than nothing at all." Silence followed. Then one by one the commanders nodded. The operation began. Hours later, the combined fleet moved into formation. Ships from dozens of species aligned around the colossal structure, engines glowing bright. The weapon's core pulsed faster, as if sensing their intent. "Admiral," Captain Salas said, "we're in position." Mira nodded. "On my mark. 3, 2, 1, engage." Every ship unleashed its warp drive at once. The void screamed as unimaginable energy surged into the weapon's core. The construct shuddered, its surface cracking with blue lightning. For a moment, the stars went dark. Then the weapon unleashed one final pulse, a roar that shook the galaxy. A shockwave of light erupted, blinding sensors and vaporizing debris. When the light faded, the ancient structure was gone. Only fragments remained, drifting silently through space. The human fleet floated in the calm aftermath. Many ships were lost, but the galaxy had survived. Captain Salas turned to Mira. "It's over." Mira shook her head slowly. "No, it's never over. We've seen what lies beneath our history. Something built that machine. Something decided who should live and who should die. If they existed once, they might still exist." She looked out at the stars, her reflection in the glass merging with the starlight. "Today we stopped the past," she said softly. "Tomorrow we might face its creators. Far away, beyond the galactic rim, a faint signal flickered, an ancient beacon reactivating for the first time in 10,000 years. Humanity had survived the Council. It had survived the weapon, but something far greater had just awakened. The galaxy had fallen quiet once more, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of exhaustion. Stars still burned, ships still drifted, but every species that had survived the awakening knew that something larger than war had begun. The ancient weapon was gone, yet whispers of its origin filled every frequency. No one spoke it aloud, but everyone knew the same name. The Builders. Admiral Mira Han stood alone in the Archangel's observation deck, her reflection framed against the blue glow of Earth far below. Humanity had done what no civilization ever had, defeated the Council, survived an ancient weapon, and united the galaxy under one fragile flag. But deep inside, Mira felt uneasy. The stars felt different. Her communications officer approached quietly. "Admiral, we've picked up something strange. A signal repeating from the edge of the Orion Rift. It's older than anything we've ever recorded." "Origin?" Mira asked, turning. The officer hesitated. "Not from the galaxy. It's coming from outside it." Those words turned every head on the bridge. Outside the galaxy, beyond the rim where no ship had ever returned. Mira's pulse steadied. "Put it on main channel." The transmission began as static. Then a voice, smooth and cold, echoed through every speaker. Successor species detected. Conflict resolution incomplete. Restoration protocol initiated. The crew froze. The voice wasn't angry. It wasn't human. It sounded indifferent, as if reciting a fact that had been true for 1,000,000 years. The science officer whispered, "Admiral, this isn't a message. It's an announcement." "From who?" Mira asked. "From whatever built the Judgment engine." Outside the ship, space distorted. Lines of blue light rippled across the stars, forming vast geometric shapes, hexagonal gateways larger than moons. Within them, silhouettes emerged. Not ships, structures, each one kilometers long, glowing from within with steady golden energy. Sensors screamed as the readings came in. "Admiral, we're detecting matter signatures beyond known physics. They're not traveling through hyperspace, and they're rewriting it." Mira stared at the growing formation. "The builders?" she whispered. One of the alien generals standing beside her hissed in disbelief. "They're myths. They vanished before any of us existed." "Then we're their reminder," Mira said. The central gateway pulsed. From its core, a single vessel appeared, smooth, elegant, and made of shifting light. Its voice filled every ship in the sector, translated instantly by unknown means. "Descendants of ruin, you have tampered with what you do not understand. The judgment cycle was designed to preserve balance. You have broken it." Mira stood firm, her voice steady. "We fought for survival. You built machines that decided who should live and who should die. That's not balance, that's tyranny," the voice replied, calm and absolute. "We are beyond morality. We built you. We built them. When chaos grows, we cleanse." The deck fell silent. The implication hit everyone like a wave. Humanity wasn't just facing ancient aliens. They were facing their makers. "Admiral," Captain Salas said quietly, "if they made everything, then how do we fight them?" Mira's gaze hardened. "We don't bow. Not again." The builders' ships began to move. They didn't fire weapons. They reshaped space itself. Gravity fields bent around them, pulling asteroids and dust into ribbons of molten metal. Entire communication networks failed as signals were absorbed into their light. The newly formed Galactic Alliance, humans and aliens alike, scrambled to respond. Fleets deployed, defense stations activated, but their weapons were useless. Every shot fired simply vanished in the builders' shimmering shields. Mira turned to her chief engineer. "Options? Nothing conventional will work," he said grimly, "but maybe something unconventional." "Explain." He pointed to the holographic display. "The Judgment engine we destroyed wasn't destroyed completely. Its core fragments are still emitting residual energy. If we can merge that with our quantum drives, we might create an energy feedback loop strong enough to disrupt their shields." Mira thought for a moment. A weapon built from their own creation. "It could work," the engineer said. "Or it could tear space apart." Mira smiled faintly. "Either way, they'll remember who we are." Within hours, humanity's finest engineers began the impossible task, forging a weapon from the remains of the ancient engine. They called it Project Prometheus, a last hope, a message written in fire. The builders, unaware or unbothered, continued their advance. Their ships began aligning above Earth's orbit, forming perfect mathematical patterns. From their formation, golden light descended toward the planet, scanning every city, every ocean. Humanity watched from the ground as the sky turned into a mirror. Inside the Archangel, Captain Salas spoke urgently. "They're preparing to reset the planet." Mira stepped forward. "Then we don't give them the chance. All fleets, focus fire on the central conduit. Keep them busy. Project Prometheus, stand by for ignition." The Alliance fleet surged forward, unleashing every weapon, every ounce of fury left. Ships exploded. Shields collapsed. But they held the line long enough for the weapon to charge. "Energy buildup stable," said the engineer. "Target locked." Mira gave the order. "Fire." A single beam of blue-white light shot from the Archangel's core, faster than thought, brighter than any star. It pierced the nearest builder vessel, and for the first time the impossible happened. It cracked. The builder's voice returned, now sharper, almost curious. "You defy the architects. You use our tools against us." Mira's eyes burned with determination. "You gave us life. You taught us to adapt. You forgot what that meant." The energy from Project Prometheus spread across the battlefield, destabilizing the builders' control fields. The gateways flickered, their perfect geometry fracturing. The builders' ships began to retreat. their forms dissolving into golden mist. The last transmission came through. One final statement. Neither threat nor promise. Cycle delayed. Judgment postponed. Until next alignment. Then, as silently as they came, the builders vanished. The stars returned. The gateways collapsed into dust. And for the first time in countless ages, the galaxy was truly free. Not from the Council, not from ancient machines, but from the shadows of its own creation. On the Archangel's bridge, the crew sat in stunned silence. Captain Solus turned to Mira. We won, didn't we? Mira exhaled slowly. No one wins against gods, Captain, but we reminded them we exist. She turned toward the window where Earth shone like a jewel in the void. Let them come again someday. They'll find a galaxy united not in fear, but in defiance. And somewhere deep in the dark beyond the stars, a faint hum answered her challenge. Not hostile, not friendly, but watchful. The galaxy had entered a new era, an era where humanity no longer feared the unknown. It had faced its creators, and refused to bow.